The universe has a funny way of bringing people together when they least expect it. What if I told you that sometimes, the very person you're trying to avoid might be the one you're destined to meet? This is exactly what happened to Mike Daniels on a rainy Friday evening in Boston, a night that would change his life forever. But here's the kicker: when he pulled over to help a stranded motorist, he had no idea he was about to come face to face with his blind date. The same one he'd been dreading all week. Mike wiped the rain from his face as he knelt beside the smoking hood of Ellie Parker's sedan. His phone buzzed in his pocket for the third time, his sister Jen, no doubt, wondering why he was ghosting the blind date she'd set up. If only she knew he was elbow deep in engine grease, helping the very woman he was supposed to meet at Rossetti's in 15 minutes. But the real bombshell? Mike had already decided he wasn't going to show up at all. "You're a lifesaver," Ellie said, holding her umbrella over both of them. "I was on my way to meet someone, and now I'm going to be super late." "Blind date?" Mike asked, recognizing the nervous energy radiating from her. "Yeah," she laughed. "My friend's brother. Apparently, he's perfect for me." Mike's hands froze on the timing belt. Wait a minute. His sister's friend? Perfect match? The pieces started falling into place, and his heart dropped to his stomach. Growing up in Southie, Mike Daniels had always been the responsible one. At 34, he was raising his 10-year-old daughter Lily alone after his wife walked out 4 years ago, claiming she wasn't cut out for motherhood. He worked as a mechanical engineer by day and fixed cars as a side hustle on weekends. Dating wasn't just on the back burner, it wasn't even in the kitchen. "Daddy needs to get out there again," Lily had declared last month with all the wisdom of a precocious fourth grader. "You're getting too boring." His sister Jen had pounced on this opening like a cat on a laser pointer, immediately setting up the blind date with her friend Ellie. "She's wicked smart, loves kids, and she's been through some stuff too," Jen had insisted. "Just give it a shot." But Mike had chickened out. After confirming the date earlier that week, panic had set in. What if she hated kids? What if Lily didn't like her? What if she was looking for someone without all his baggage? So he decided to stand her up, a decision he wasn't proud of, but fear does crazy things to a person. And now here she was, standing in the rain, completely unaware that the man fixing her car was the same one who had planned to leave her waiting at a restaurant table alone. "I think I found your problem," Mike said, his voice slightly higher than normal. Your timing belt snapped. "I can't fix this here, but I can give you a ride wherever you need to go." Ellie checked her watch and sighed. "I think it's too late for my date anyway. He's probably already at the restaurant wondering where I am." The guilt hit Mike like a sucker punch. Maybe he's running late too," he offered weakly. "Maybe," she said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Or maybe it wasn't meant to be. To be honest, I was kind of dreading it anyway." Mike's head snapped up. "You were?" "Yeah," Ellie confessed, tucking a strand of wet hair behind her ear. "I haven't dated since my divorce 3 years ago. My friend kept saying her boyfriend's sister has this amazing brother who's perfect for me, but I don't know. Blind dates are scary." Mike's heart was pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it over the rain. She was dreading it too? And wait, her friend was dating Jen's boyfriend? This was definitely his blind date. "Listen," he said, making a split-second decision that would alter the course of both their lives, "how about I give you a ride to a coffee shop instead? You look like you could use something warm." Ellie studied him for a moment, then nodded. "That would be nice. I'm Ellie, by the way." "Mike," he replied, extending a greasy hand before quickly withdrawing it with an embarrassed laugh. "Sorry about that." The rain intensified as they dashed to his truck, an old Ford F-150 that had seen better days but still ran like a dream thanks to Mike's mechanical skills. The inside smelled faintly of motor oil and the pine air freshener Lily had insisted on hanging from the rearview mirror. A small unicorn keychain dangled next to it, another one of Lily's additions. "Nice truck," Ellie commented, buckling her seatbelt. "Very, lived in." Mike glanced at the scattered coloring books and the half-empty bag of goldfish crackers on the back seat. Yeah, sorry about the mess. My daughter's idea of cleaning is shoving everything under her bed. I think it's sweet, Ellie said, picking up a crayon drawing from the dashboard. It showed 3 stick figures, a tall one labeled Dad, a smaller one labeled me, and a third with a question mark where the face should be. Is this Lily's work? Mike felt his cheeks flush as he took the drawing and tucked it into the glove compartment. Yeah, she's going through a phase where she draws our future family. Kids and their imagination, right? Ellie's smile was gentle, understanding. She wants you to be happy. She wants a mom, Mike corrected, then immediately regretted his bluntness. Sorry, that came out wrong. No, it's okay, Ellie assured him. Kids need both parents. I get it. The coffee shop was quiet, just a few tables occupied on the rainy evening. Mike couldn't stop stealing glances at Ellie as she warmed her hands around her mug. She was beautiful, yes, but it was more than that. There was something in her eyes, a kindness, a resilience that resonated with him. So, she said after a comfortable silence, "What were you doing out in this weather?" Mike hesitated. This was his moment of truth. He could make up a story, or he could come clean. The words tumbled out before he could stop them. Actually, I was on my way to stand up a blind date. Ellie's eyebrows shot up. Wow. That's honest. I'm not proud of it, he admitted. I got scared. I haven't dated since my ex left, and I have a daughter to think about. You have a daughter? Ellie's expression softened. Lily. She's 10 going on 30, Mike said, unable to keep the pride from his voice. She's with my sister tonight because I was supposed to be. He trailed off, the full weight of the coincidence hitting him again. On your blind date, Ellie finished for him. The one you were planning to bail on. Mike nodded, bracing himself for her anger or disappointment. Instead, she started laughing, a genuine, musical laugh that made the corners of his eyes crinkle in response. What's so funny? He asked. Life, she said, wiping a tear from her eye. Life is funny. Because I'm pretty sure I was your blind date, Mike Daniels. The revelation hung between them, neither awkward nor uncomfortable, but filled with possibility. Jen's brother? Ellie asked. Sarah's friend? Mike countered. They both nodded, and then dissolved into laughter again. So we both dreaded meeting each other, and then the universe made it happen anyway, Ellie mused. That's some serious cosmic joke. As the evening wore on, Mike learned that Ellie was an elementary school art teacher who had moved to Boston after her divorce. She loved hiking, had a weakness for bad sci-fi movies, and volunteered at an animal shelter on weekends. She was easy to talk to, laughed at his dad jokes, and didn't seem to mind when he talked about Lily. She sounds amazing, Ellie said. I always wanted kids, but my ex wasn't interested. It was one of the many things we disagreed on. Being a single parent isn't easy, Mike admitted. There are days when I feel like I'm failing her. From what you've told me, you're doing an incredible job, Ellie said, reaching across the table to touch his hand. The simple gesture sent warmth spreading through his chest. Mike found himself opening up about the day his ex-wife, Caitlin, had left. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and he'd come home early to surprise her with tickets to a concert she'd been wanting to see. Instead, he found her packing a suitcase. I can't do this anymore, Mike, she'd said, not even looking up. I'm suffocating here. What about Lily, he'd asked, his world crumbling around him. Caitlin had finally met his eyes then. She's better off with you. You've always been the better parent anyway. And just like that, she was gone, leaving behind a devastated husband and a 6-year-old who couldn't understand why her mommy didn't want her anymore. That must have been incredibly hard, Ellie said softly after Mike finished his story. For both of you. It was, Mike acknowledged. But we got through it. Lily's resilient. Kids are, you know? More than we give them credit for. And what about you? Ellie asked. Are you resilient too? The question caught him off guard. No one had asked about his healing process in a long time. Everyone just assumed he was fine because he had to be, for Lily's sake. I'm getting there, he said honestly. Some days are harder than others. Ellie nodded, understanding in her eyes. My ex-husband cheated, she offered. With my best friend at the time. Talk about clichés, right? That's rough, Mike winced. Yeah, it was a double betrayal. But looking back, our marriage was already falling apart. We wanted different things. He was climbing the corporate ladder, working 80-hour weeks, while I was dreaming of a house in the suburbs with a yard full of kids. She shrugged. The affair just gave me the push I needed to leave. Do you regret it? Leaving? Not for a second, Ellie said firmly. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the most liberating. I moved here, started teaching art, which I love, and slowly rebuilt my life. Now I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Her confidence was magnetic. Mike found himself envying her certainty, her peace with her past. What about you? She asked. Any regrets? Only that I couldn't make Lily's mom stay, he admitted. Not for me, but for her. Lily still asks about her sometimes, especially around Mother's Day or when her friends talk about their moms. That must break your heart. Every time, Mike nodded. But I tell her that her mom loves her in her own way, even if she couldn't stay. Is that true? Ellie asked gently. Mike sighed. I don't know. Caitlin sends birthday cards and Christmas gifts, but she's never asked to see Lily. Not once in 4 years. I'm sorry, Ellie said, and Mike could tell she meant it. When the coffee shop announced they were closing, both were surprised to discover they'd been talking for hours. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the streets glistened under the streetlights. I should call a tow truck for my car, Ellie said, but made no move to reach for her phone. I know a guy who can fix it for cheap, Mike offered. I could take you to get it tomorrow. That would be great, she said, then hesitated. But I don't want to impose. You're not imposing, Mike assured her. In fact, Lily and I were planning to go to the Science Museum tomorrow. She's been begging to see the new space exhibit. You could come with us? If you want. The invitation surprised them both. Mike hadn't planned to say it, but now that it was out there, he realized how much he wanted her to say yes. Ellie's smile was like sunrise after the storm. I'd love that. The next morning, Mike was a bundle of nerves as he and Lily drove to pick up Ellie. He'd explained to his daughter that they were giving his friend a ride to the museum, carefully omitting the part about the blind date fiasco. Is she pretty? Lily asked, bouncing in her booster seat. Lily, Mike warned. What? It's just a question, she said innocently. Is she nice? Does she like space? Does she like kids? Yes to all of the above, Mike replied, trying to keep his tone casual. But remember, she's just a friend who needs a ride, okay? So be on your best behavior. Lily rolled her eyes in a perfect imitation of her Aunt Jen. Duh, Dad. I'm always good. Mike snorted. What about last week when you put glue in Tommy Wilson's hair? He deserved it, Lily said primly. He said girls can't be astronauts. Fair point, Mike conceded, but no gluing anyone today, deal? Deal, Lily agreed solemnly. When they pulled up to Ellie's apartment building, Mike's stomach did a little flip. What if Lily and Ellie didn't get along? What if this whole day was a disaster? But his fears evaporated the moment Ellie stepped out of her building. She was wearing jeans and a NASA t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. She looked beautiful in the morning light, and the smile that lit up her face when she spotted them made his heart race. Hi, she said, sliding into the passenger seat. You must be Lily. I'm Ellie. Lily studied her with the intense scrutiny only children can get away with. I like your shirt, she finally declared. Do you like space? I love space, Ellie replied seriously. Especially the planets. Do you have a favorite? Saturn, Lily said without hesitation. Because of the rings. Dad says they're made of ice and rocks, but I think they're made of magic. Who says it can't be both? Ellie winked, and just like that, she had passed Lily's test. The day at the museum was one of the best Mike could remember having in years. Ellie was knowledgeable about the exhibits, patient with Lily's endless questions, and seemed genuinely interested in everything they saw. She didn't try too hard to impress Lily or act like she was trying to replace her mother, she was just herself, and both Mike and Lily were drawn to her natural warmth. During lunch at the museum cafe, Lily spilled her chocolate milk all over the table. Mike braced himself for tears or embarrassment, but before he could even grab napkins, Ellie was already mopping up the spill. "No biggie," she said cheerfully. "When I was your age, I once knocked over an entire pitcher of lemonade at my cousin's wedding." Right onto the bride's grandmother. Lily's eyes widened. What happened? Well, Grandma Edith was a good sport about it. Said the lemonade cooled her down, it was an August wedding. But my mom was mortified. Ellie leaned in conspiratorially. The moral of the story is, accidents happen to everyone, and chocolate milk is way easier to clean up than lemonade on a silk dress. Lily giggled, crisis averted, and Mike felt a surge of gratitude toward Ellie for handling the situation with such grace. After the museum, they picked up Ellie's car from the mechanic. Mike's friend Tony had indeed given her a good deal on the timing belt replacement. And Mike was surprised by the pang of disappointment he felt knowing the day was coming to an end. "This was really fun," Ellie said as they stood beside her now repaired car. "Thank you both for letting me tag along." "You're welcome," Lily chirped. "You know a lot about planets." High praise from the space expert, Mike chuckled. "Can Ellie come over for dinner sometime?" Lily asked suddenly. "She hasn't seen my room or met Cosmo." "Cosmo?" Ellie raised an eyebrow. "My turtle," Lily explained. "Dad says he's the closest I'll get to having a dog until I'm 12. Mike felt his face grow warm. "Lily, Ellie probably has other plans." "Actually," Ellie cut in, "I'd love to meet Cosmo. If the invitation's open?" Mike's heart skipped a beat. "It's definitely open." That dinner turned into movie nights, weekend hikes, and impromptu ice cream runs. Ellie fit into their lives so naturally that sometimes Mike had to remind himself that she hadn't always been there. She helped Lily with her science homework, introduced them both to her favorite hiking trails in the Blue Hills, and never complained when their plans had to change because of Lily's soccer practice or a school event. 3 months into their relationship, they faced their first real challenge. Mike's ex-wife Caitlin called out of the blue, announcing she was coming to Boston for work and wanted to see Lily. After 4 years of barely a phone call? Mike had fumed to Ellie the night before Caitlin's visit. They were sitting on his back porch after Lily had gone to bed, the summer air thick with humidity and tension. "I know you're angry," Ellie said softly, "but this might be good for Lily. What if she disappoints her again? What if she makes promises she won't keep?" Mike ran his hands through his hair in frustration. "I can't watch Lily get her heart broken again." Ellie took his hand, her touch grounding him. "You can't protect her from everything, Mike. Lily's smart and stronger than you think. And no matter what happens with Caitlin, she knows she has you. She knows she's loved." The next day, Mike watched with a knot in his stomach as Caitlin took Lily to lunch. When they returned, Lily was quiet but not upset. Later that night, as he tucked her in, she finally opened up. "Mom said she's sorry she hasn't been around," Lily told him, clutching her stuffed penguin to her chest. "She said it wasn't because of me, it was because she had her own problems." Mike sat on the edge of her bed, choosing his words carefully. "How do you feel about that?" Lily thought for a moment. "Sad. But also okay? I told her about you and Ellie, and how Ellie helps me with art projects and knows all about space." Mike's heart clenched. "What did Mom say about that?" "She said she was glad we found someone nice." Lily looked up at him with those wise eyes that always seemed to see right through him. "Dad? Is Ellie your girlfriend now?" The question caught him off guard. They hadn't put labels on their relationship, careful not to rush things because of Lily. But the truth was, Mike had fallen hard for Ellie, and he was pretty sure she felt the same way. Would it be okay if she was? He asked cautiously. Lily nodded solemnly. She makes you smile more. And she doesn't try to be my mom, but she's still really nice to me. She is pretty special, Mike agreed, his chest tight with emotion. So is that a yes? She's your girlfriend? Mike laughed at his daughter's persistence. Yes, Squirt. She's my girlfriend. Lily's face broke into a wide grin. Good. Because I already told Mom that. The next morning, Mike called Ellie and asked if she'd come over for a special dinner. When she arrived, Lily proudly presented her with a handmade card that read Official Girlfriend Certificate in rainbow letters. Ellie's eyes filled with tears as she read it. Is this for real? She asked, looking from Lily to Mike. Only if you want it to be, Mike said, suddenly nervous. Ellie's answer was to throw her arms around both of them, pulling them into a group hug that felt like coming home. As summer turned to fall, their relationship deepened. Mike learned that Ellie snorted when she laughed too hard, that she couldn't function without coffee in the morning, and that she had a habit of singing off-key to 80s power ballads when she thought no one was listening. He discovered that she was fiercely loyal to her friends, that she cried during dog food commercials, and that despite her cheerful exterior, she sometimes battled insecurities left over from her failed marriage. And Ellie learned that beneath Mike's steady, reliable demeanor was a man with dreams of his own and dreams he'd put on hold to raise his daughter. He'd always wanted to restore classic cars, maybe even open his own shop someday. She encouraged him to start small, and by Thanksgiving, he was working on a 1967 Mustang in his garage on weekends, with Lily and Ellie bringing him sandwiches and keeping him company. You know what I'm thankful for this year? Lily announced at Thanksgiving dinner, which they shared with Jen and her boyfriend, Sarah and her husband, and Ellie's brother who was visiting from Chicago. I'm thankful that Dad's car knowledge is good for something besides fixing our truck. Everyone laughed, but Mike caught Ellie's eye across the table and saw the same thought reflected there. They were thankful for broken timing belts and rainy nights and blind dates that almost didn't happen. That night, after everyone had gone home and Lily was asleep, Mike and Ellie sat by the fireplace, a blanket draped over their laps. I have something to tell you, Ellie said, a hint of nervousness in her voice. Mike's stomach dropped. In his experience, those words rarely preceded good news. What is it? I got offered a position at the Boston Children's Museum, she said. Running their new interactive art program for kids. Relief washed over him. Ellie, that's amazing. It's perfect for you. It is, she agreed. But it would mean leaving my teaching job, and it's a big change. Change can be good, Mike said, pulling her closer. You've taught me that. Ellie rested her head on his shoulder. There's more. The position comes with an apartment in the museum's staff housing building. It's part of the compensation package. Mike felt a flicker of unease. Oh. So you'd be moving. That's the thing, Ellie said, sitting up to look him in the eyes. I don't want to move. Not away from you and Lily. These past months have been the happiest of my life, and the thought of not seeing you both every day. Her voice caught. Mike's heart swelled. Then don't move. What? Move in with us instead, he said, the words coming out before he could overthink them. This house has plenty of room, and Lily would be over the moon. And so would I. Ellie's eyes widened. Are you serious? That's a huge step. I know, Mike nodded. And if it's too soon, I understand. But I love you, Ellie. I think I've loved you since that night in the rain when you held an umbrella over my head while I pretended to know what I was doing with your car. Tears spilled down Ellie's cheeks. I love you too. Both of you. So much it scares me sometimes. Is that a yes? Mike asked, his heart pounding. Ellie's answer was a kiss that told him everything he needed to know. The transition wasn't without its challenges. Merging two households meant compromises on everything from furniture placement to morning routines. Lily had moments of jealousy when she felt Mike's attention was divided, and Ellie sometimes felt overwhelmed by the instant family she'd gained. But they worked through each hurdle together, with honesty and patience and a lot of love. 6 months later, Mike stood in his kitchen watching Ellie help Lily with her science project. They were building a model of the solar system, and Ellie was showing Lily how to paint realistic textures on the styrofoam planets. The sight of them together, heads bent in concentration, filled his heart with a joy he hadn't thought possible again. Their relationship had developed naturally, without pressure. Ellie fit into their lives as if she'd always been there. Lily adored her, especially after discovering Ellie could draw way better than Daddy. They took things slow, both aware of the stakes involved when a child's heart was on the line too. "Dad, Ellie says we should add glitter to Saturn's rings." "Can we?" Lily called out. "Whatever the artist recommends," Mike replied, catching Ellie's eye over Lily's head. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, they sat on the porch swing, a blanket draped over their laps against the autumn chill. "I have a confession," Mike said, taking Ellie's hand in his. "I'm really glad my timing belt expertise wasn't needed that night." Ellie laughed. "And I'm glad my car picked the perfect moment to break down." "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we'd just met at the restaurant like normal people?" Mike asked. "We probably would have been awkward and nervous," Ellie mused. "Instead, you got to be my knight in shining armor with motor oil on his face." "Very romantic," Mike chuckled. "It was, actually," Ellie said softly. "Because I got to see the real you right away, the guy who stops to help strangers in the rain, not the guy who tries to impress on a first date." Mike pulled her closer. "I'm falling in love with you, Ellie Parker. And it scares the hell out of me." "Good," she whispered against his lips. "Because I'm already there, and I was getting lonely." 1 year to the day after their unusual first meeting, Mike took Ellie back to the spot where her car had broken down. He'd arranged for Lily to stay with Jen, telling Ellie they were going out for a special anniversary dinner. "Why are we stopping here?" Ellie asked as Mike pulled over to the shoulder of the road. "This is where it all began," he said, suddenly nervous. "The universe conspired to bring us together right here." He got out of the car and walked around to open her door, then took her hand and led her to the exact spot where he'd first knelt to look at her engine. "Mike, what are you doing?" Ellie laughed as he dropped to one knee again, this time not to inspect a timing belt, but to pull a small velvet box from his pocket. "Ellie Parker, I was supposed to meet you at a restaurant, but fate had other plans. And I'm so grateful it did, because meeting you the way we did showed me that sometimes the things we fear the most turn out to be the best things that ever happened to us." His voice cracked with emotion. "You've made me and Lily so happy. Will you marry me and let us make you happy for the rest of your life?" Tears streamed down Ellie's face as she nodded, unable to speak. When he slipped the ring onto her finger, she finally found her voice. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times, yes." Their wedding was small and perfect, held in the backyard of the home they now shared. Lily served as both flower girl and best daughter, proudly walking down the aisle ahead of Ellie, who looked radiant in a simple white dress. Mike couldn't take his eyes off her as she approached him, his future walking toward him with a smile that outshone the sun. During the reception, Jen clinked her glass for a toast. "To my brother and his beautiful bride," she said, raising her champagne. "And to blind dates that almost weren't. Sometimes the universe has to work overtime to bring together two people too stubborn to help themselves." Everyone laughed, and Mike pulled Ellie close, whispering in her ear, "Thank God for broken timing belts." "And knights in shining armor who stop to help damsels in distress," she whispered back. As they danced under the stars in their backyard, surrounded by the people they loved most, Mike marveled at how one rainy night had changed everything. He'd been so afraid of taking a chance, so certain that protecting his heart and Lily's meant keeping it locked away. But Ellie had shown him that the greatest risk was never loving at all. Sometimes, the love stories that touch us most deeply are the ones that remind us how unexpected life can be, how a broken-down car, a rainy night, and a blind date almost missed can lead to the greatest happiness we've ever known. If you enjoyed this story of fate, love, and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming content that reminds us all that sometimes, The universe knows exactly what we need, even when we think we don't. Where are you watching from today? Drop your country in the comments below and let us know if you've ever had an unexpected meeting that changed your life.